Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show. You can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go. Oh, and by the way, if you hear me give out a telephone number, don't call because this is a rebroadcast.
The following has been rated PG by the Motion Picture Association of America, as it deals with mature subject matter and may contain strong language, nudity, or scenes of violence. Parental guidance is suggested.
Right.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Well, yeah, I was out on the hiking trail, hiking on the trail this week, around Tuesday or Wednesday. It's all a blur. I don't remember what day it was now, but we're just hiking around outside, and it was fun. And something while I was, because when you hike, you have to breathe,
Really?
Into your
Sure,
nose,
it's not optional.
out
That's
through your
my
mouth,
problem.
into your nose, out through your mouth. So, and I was doing that, and something went up my nose. Didn't see it. I don't know what it was, but I breathed something somewhere that just about took me out this week because I was having asthma problems all week. I was just coughing and stuff. And by the way, it's not what, because I've never ran a temperature. My temperature is normal. It's just all allergy related. So today, if I sound like I have a giant cotton ball stuck up my nose, it's because that's why.
Hey,
Just
big
in
shock.
case, so.
There's other things still out there that can make you get stuffy-nosed.
That doesn't sound right.
What?
What?
There's what?
A what?
That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
There's other things out there.
Do you realize there are still people who catch a cold?
No,
Or
not true.
maybe even the flu?
Nope, that's not
No.
true.
Or
that's
flu-like
not possible.
symptoms? I mean...
Nope.
Whatever I got is just knocked me on my butt for a couple of days. So it's interesting when you have a job sometime where you have to use your voice. Where I almost lost it Thursday. I'm like, please nurse the voice. Please let it come back. I don't want my voice to be
Lots of
completely
tea
gone.
and honey and
Yeah, praying
and throat lozenges.
In other words, I'd be on the air talking. You wouldn't be able to. But I don't know. Maybe my show would be better at that point. I don't know. Someone would argue that it would be better if it was like that. So
You sounded like Starvin' Marvin from
So,
the
I'm gonna-
Simpsons, not Simpsons, but the South Park.
Oh, really?
Starvin' Marvin.
That's what it would look like. So if you hear me occasionally go silent on my mic, that means, number one, I'm either blowing my nose, coughing, or hacking, or cursing. One or the other. So I don't know which it would be, but it's just made me so mad. But I'm better today than I was. So enough about me.
That's all we
BK on
ask
there.
is that you're better today.
Yes,
Better
that's all
today
that
than you
counts.
were.
Thank goodness. And
Just keep
I'm
up
glad to
on
be
yourself.
here. Glad to be on the right side of the grass. BK on the air.
It almost killed you.
It was the grass. That's what it was. The grass. That's what it was. I just
See,
mentioned
that's
the
the problem.
grass.
You're not supposed to shove it up your nose.
So Walt says I'm riding around. I listen to your show while I'm doing the grass. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Good. Mowing the grass.
That's why the
Mowing
show's
the
so
grass.
good.
Mowing the grass.
You guys are so funny. We've been off the air for like the last 2 hours.
Oh
my God.
So yeah. Well, we got a lot to talk about today. Actually, Alan's here. You hear Alan over there, and that's Walt into Darkness is in here.
I'm only here
By
for
the
a little
way.
bit, though.
Yeah. Well, good. That means we'll be able to talk more since you won't be here.
Oh, now.
Zing.
That's
Oh,
just,
you
you know
waited-
what? That's
That's the
just,
second balloon I got to let go.
that's just a joke. That's a joke. I like to joke around sometimes.
I'm the Joker.
I think you're more the Riddler with the new Batman movie. So.
The Enigma.
Speaking of that, by the way, did you guys hear that they are? I'll hit on some news headlines here as we inch up to our first break, and we'll hear from Pat McCormick in the Golden Rage of TV, who has a special guest on his live stream this Wednesday that he's doing. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Robert Pattinson is returning for the Batman sequel. I'm sure you guys heard about that. And have you seen it yet, Walt? Have you seen the Batman?
I have not.
You have not seen it. So
Watch
you haven't seen the Batman or Moon Knight yet. So you got a couple of treats.
Yeah, I've
I
got a
think,
couple
waiting
things
for
to
you,
watch.
which is
I
good.
got some catching
Warner
up.
Brothers revealed its plan for another Cape Crusader story during its last Tuesday evening presentation at CinemaCon. They had a big convention this past week where they premiered a lot of scenes from things, a lot of trailers, and a lot of things that people have been waiting to see. Annual trade show for theater owners is what that's for. So it was for the theater owners. The Batman director Matt Reeves was on hand to announce the news that he will write and direct the follow-up.
Excellent.
But he did not provide any details about what the movie will entail. But that's okay. Keep it a secret. He may not even know what it's about yet. So we got that to look forward to. I know that Alan and I both enjoyed it. I think you might like it because it's not. They've decided to do something a little different. And I didn't mind. When they redo a movie and they don't do it the way that I expect, I'm like, well, when I expect Batman, I like him to be like in like a blue cape with a yellow bat on the chest and have the Riddler wearing question marks on his thing and at least get all that Batman stuff in there. When they decide to change things like they did with the X-Men maybe, because the X-Men weren't in those classic costumes either. But when you change it and you make it so well done and entertaining where I don't mind all that, then it's okay. And that's kind of how the Batman was, because the Riddler in this film does not wear a question mark suit. The Penguin does not have a cigarette holder with a top hat and a tuxedo on. He's completely different from that.
Although he does wear a tux a few times.
And his nose is kind of weird looking, so yeah.
But he's not goofy, cartoony.
Cartoony. And they made, the vibes I felt when I was watching the Batman, I felt a little, especially with the Riddler, I felt the Silence of the Lambs creepiness watching it.
We talked about it. It was more like a psychological thriller that just happened to have a Cape Crusader at the heart of it.
But it worked.
It could have been a Silence of the Lambs movie. It could have been a movie like that where you're just trying to track a serial killer who's toying with authorities.
It could have been just cops in New York trying to track down this guy doing these things.
A lot of people have said it's a lot like Seven in their minds, where
it was like that too. Yeah,
that sense of just this foreboding and that it's slow, but you just feel the tension all right. Like it gets worse as you keep watching, and I felt like that.
I would say that the only person wearing a costume in it is Batman, and it's not. It's
and even
a costume.
Catwoman's isn't really Catwoman-ish.
No,
I loved everything about how Matt Reeves took this story.
Yeah, it was well done.
And this is coming from the guy who loves the Christopher Nolan trilogy.
Right, and this is
so. It's that good,
and I liked it. This is a guy coming from the didn't like the Christopher Nolan trilogy, but I did like Michael Keaton, Tim Burton movie, though. So, and I do like Batman. I do like the character. I like Superman.
Yeah.
I like the DC characters almost as much as I like the Marvel characters. It's just that Marvel's doing a whole lot better job making them, successful the way I like them.
I still love the 1966 campy Batman.
As a kid, I loved that show.
That was a fun
Batman.
Yeah. And I did love all the earlier 80s, 90s. But DC just got so off track.
This is about as far from the 60s TV show that I think anybody could ever get in our lives.
Did you like the standalone The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix?
I loved it. Yeah.
You will like
That's great.
If you guys haven't seen the deep fake where they put Adam West into the Batman movie.
That is hysterical.
It's so well done. These guys deserve an award. Have you seen it yet? If you haven't, I'll send you a link to it. They just deep fake him in the entire trailer.
Oh, and it looks like Adam West version of Batman in the Batman.
Even the Batmobile is in it. Everything is in it. Speak down there. We'll continue all this talk after we hear from the golden rage of TV with Pat McCormick when we come back. It's BK on there and fighting allergy here. Holy jeez.
We will return after these messages.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
Rice-A-Roni, all in one package. Rice, vermicelli, and this fabulous flavor package.
Rice-A-Roni, the flavor can't be beat.
Brown the rice and vermicelli, add hot water, and saute.
One pan, no boiling, cooking ease. A flavor that is sure to please.
In minutes, a flavorful change from potatoes.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
It's Slinky, for fun it's a wonderful toy. What walks downstairs, a loner in pairs, and makes a slinkity sound. A spring, a marvelous thing. Everyone knows it's Slinky. It's Slinky, for fun it's a wonderful toy. It's fun for a girl and a boy. It's fun for a girl and a boy.
Get a Slinky in a size and color you like, in metal or plastic.
Never fear, Smith is here.
And now, back to a guy who thinks William Shatner deserves an Academy Award. It's BK on the air.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Another TV crush I had was on the beautiful Linda Evans. I immediately fell for her as a cast member on my favorite TV Western, The Big Valley. But Linda had began her career in the early 60s, appearing on shows such as Ozzie and Harriet and The Untouchables. In 1965, she was cast as the sultry singer Sugar Cane in the classic Frankie and Annette movie Beach Blanket Bingo. She also guest starred on hit shows like My Favorite Martian and Wagon Train. But then began her steady role playing Barbara Stanwyck's daughter, Audra Barkley, with the great ensemble cast of The Big Valley. In 1967, Linda's then-husband, filmmaker John Derrick, was asked by Evel Knievel to film his infamous Caesar's Palace fountain jump. John enlisted Linda to film what was supposed to be his successful landing. As seen in the renowned clip, it didn't quite turn out that way. Linda continued on into the 70s with some big screen roles alongside the likes of Lee Marvin, Robert Shaw, and Steve McQueen. She also guest starred on many of the popular TV detective shows of the era as well. Then, in 1984, she landed her iconic role as Crystal Carrington on the primetime soap opera Dynasty. With all this culminating with multiple awards and a star on Hollywood Boulevard, I'd say Linda Evans is the epitome of a true television legend. This is Pat McCormick with your retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
Thank you, Pat, for that trip into the Golden Rage of TV. Did you know that, did you, as a kid, I mean, we were still kind of kids when Dynasty came on the air back in, nighttime soaps in the 80s. As we well know, and as Pat was talking about, Linda Evans was in The Big Valley.
Right.
The Western. Beautiful lady. I mean, she's a very beautiful actress. And then when the Dynasty came out, she was in Dynasty along with Joan Collins. And then remember the big cat fight scene they had, which was big on television back then. Almost as big as Who Shot JR on Dallas.
Almost.
But I didn't watch the nighttime soaps. My mom and my sister did, because all I was waiting for on CBS, it was a Friday night on CBS, or was it Saturday? One of the nights on CBS had The Dukes of Hazzard, The Incredible Hulk, and Dallas. Yep. I mean, CBS owned that night.
Yes,
no one watched anything else but that. Well, my sister and some of my other groups of families liked The Dukes of Hazzard. And I thought it was okay at a certain point. But I watched The Incredible Hulk. That was my hour of television. And then when Dallas came along, the parents started watching that. Right. And I kind of half-watched it or whatever. I didn't really care. But when Linda Evans was on, made her debut, not her debut, but her appearance on Dynasty, I didn't know at first that that's the lady from The Big Valley. I didn't know it was her, because she's aged a little bit. She still looked very pretty. But one day it just kind of hit me like, hey, wait, that is her, the lady from The Big Valley. That's
this
crazy.
is before IMDb, so you just had to go, wait, where do I know her from?
How did we ever get by? I mean, think about it. You're right. You make a good point. If we're going down the road or wherever, let's just say you're in the middle of nowhere, but you got a cell phone signal, and that question hits you: what years were Dallas on television? What was and back in a long time ago, you're like, I have no idea. Is there a way I can find out?
Like
well, if I can ask somebody.
83, I don't know.
Maybe if I get back into town, I can go to the library and look it up or something. But right now, we literally can look up anything we want to with these little things that we hold in our hand. And they're a phone secondary. Now they just happen to be a phone as well.
Oh, yeah, nobody
First of all, they were a phone first.
Yeah.
But it's great that we can look up anything we want. Or the way my friends make fun of me sometimes, they're like, well, we'll just call you and ask you.
Right,
I'm like,
exactly. That's
you don't have to do that anymore. Just look it up. And I don't always know. Somebody tricked me the other day. Well, they didn't trick me. But I had forgotten, and I can't remember the actor's name. I'm going to have to look him up. But if you remember Pale Rider with Clint Eastwood, which to me,
great movie.
That's the forgotten movie. People never bring that one up. I'm like, how can you forget Pale Rider? I thought it was a fantastic
I love that movie. I watched that just a few weeks ago.
He's a ghost in the movie.
Yeah.
And people like, really? I'm like, yeah, watch it again. He's a ghost. Yep. He comes back.
The first time I saw it, I didn't get that. But
but it's really mysterious, and it's a great Western. And the main guy, the older guy that's leading the bad guys, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Older actor.
Yes.
He's been in Hollywood for a long time, did a lot of Westerns, but he was also in the the second season of a TV show I watched in the 80s called Jason of Star Command.
Oh, yeah.
On television. He was the blue-skinned alien commander on there.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like a Western legend. I'm just going to have to look him up here because I can't remember his name. Jason
I can't either.
of Star Command.
He is one of those great Western actors.
He just kind of disappears and everything, but he's there.
Yeah, and he's great in everything.
John Russell. That's his name.
John
Russell.
Russell.
You know what I'm talking about. Well, did you know that Brian, a good friend of ours, Brian Gwynn, was talking to me a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, yeah, he's an Outlaw Josie Wales, too. I'm like, what?
Is he really?
John Russell is an Outlaw Josie Wales? I said, no, he's in Pale Rider with Clint Eastwood. He goes, no, he's at the beginning of Outlaw Josie Wales, too. It's just a quick scene. He's not in there for very long. I'm like, oh, I don't think he's in that, So, and I went back, looked it up, and checked it out, and I'm like, oh, and I hate it. I hate it when it comes to movie trivia when I get something wrong. I'm like, how did that get by me? I felt so bad. I'm like, no, I got that wrong. So he is.
Well, Clint Eastwood used the same actors over and over again.
He's buddies with folks.
Yeah, he is.
I wish I was friends with Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
I'd be in any of his films.
You'd have a career.
I'd like for him to kill me in a movie.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Kill me as a character, which is great. I think that they're doing, the classic movie minute guys that have that podcast now. I think that they have just done. I don't know if they've got it out to listen to yet, but they've just done Unforgiven or just watched it, and that's another great Western from Clint Eastwood, Academy Award winning thing. It's not my favorite one by him. It's a great movie. But if I had to choose my favorite Western Clint Eastwood film, to me it's always been Outlaw Josie Wales because that one left an imprint on me because I saw it as a kid.
And
I loved
awesome
that movie.
And
good story, good way it's directed, the way it's put together.
Yeah, I was going to say good classic Western. If you wanted to say what is just a good classic Western to go watch, that's probably at the top of the list.
Because as much as people love Pale Rider, to a lot of people, it's kind of a sort of remake of High Plains Drifter.
Yeah,
in a way. And High Plains Drifter is a great movie, too.
Yes, it is.
And I don't know how we got Clint Eastwood, but that's what we do here. If we start talking about something, that's it.
Well, I mean, that's a great subject.
But what a great thing to talk about. You're right. Clint, he did another Western once, right after after he'd done his big 3 Italian trilogy from Sergio Leone or whatever that guy's the director's name is. He did one not too long after that. He did a movie called Hang 'em High.
Yeah, great movie.
And that everybody thinks that it kind of fits in with those spaghetti westerns, kind of shot in the same way, but it's an American-made movie, directed by Ted Post, and it was produced by the same production company that kind of did Gunsmoke. It was the television production folks that did the movie, from what I understand. Even reused some of the sets from television and redressed them, and it was done on a nice budget, is what I'm saying. But it was a great movie, though, when they hung him and they thought he was dead, but he wasn't, and he comes back. But Hang 'em High was another movie that kind of gets shuffled off to, because when people start naming Clint Eastwood Westerns, Hang 'em High and, not by us, we remember all of them, except who was in them, which made me mad.
Right.
Hang 'em High and Pale Rider are the ones that kind of people don't remember, but when you bring them up, people go, oh, yeah. I remember
and then you start talking about Pale Rider, and you realize just what an amazing movie it is.
Yeah, and how much you're rooting for, him in the movie, and you want the bad guys to just bite it, at the end or whatever. And Michael Moriarty as the guy looking for gold and getting abused by the guys.
Yeah.
The one scene that makes me chuckle, though, is when Clint Eastwood's a preacher. His name's Preacher.
Yep. Goes
into town, and Michael Moriarty's character is in town too, and he's there to get some supplies. And Clint Eastwood grabs the big hunk of pine, the piece of wood.
Yeah.
He starts beating all the guys up, and the piece of pine goes up in the air, and it starts spinning in the air.
Right.
And he takes about 2 or 3 more bad guys out, and he always cuts back to the pine stick still spinning in the air, like he's doing all this between this thing going up in the air and coming down. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was great.
Those little touches of fun. So talk about an actor turned director too.
Yeah, no kidding.
That doesn't always happen. It happens sometimes, but it doesn't always happen successfully. A lot of actors don't move into that directorial thing as successfully as Clint Eastwood has, and some of the other actors have, because you watch later on in his life, Space Cowboys, great movie directed by Clint Eastwood, starring him.
Sully,
great movie. Which he's not in, but he directs.
No, he directs.
And Gran Torino.
I did not like that movie the first time I saw
it,
but the second time I watched it, I got it.
What was wrong with it the first time too?
I didn't like the end. I wanted the Clint Eastwood shoot him up.
Oh, that's what it was.
Guys.
Yeah.
The second time through, I was like, okay, that's a great ending. That is a better ending than I had in my mind.
I thought of other ways it could have ended, but I'm like, how other way could it have ended? other than this, it's all leading to that.
Yes, absolutely.
Because he's terminally ill anyway, and he just kind of sacrificed himself at the end for that.
Yeah, and you notice he lays out in like the sign of the cross.
It was just amazing. The Sniper movie with Bradley Cooper. Why can I not think of it? See, you're drawing a blank same time I am.
Well, and another one that he did that people forget about is Blood Work.
Right, yeah.
See,
that's another one that people forgot about. You're right.
Fantastic movie. So well acted, and the book is great, but he plays that character.
American Sniper.
American Sniper,
that was,
right.
Yeah, great movie.
American Sniper is really incredible. I mean, that is a end-to-end one of those movies that you get done and you're exhausted and you're like, wow, that's already over.
Right.
And just an amazing movie.
And I had forgotten, while I was watching, I was on a theater, and while I was watching it in the theater, all of a sudden it hit me all at once that, this is a true story.
Yeah, it is.
And I had somehow knew about Chris Kyle, just had heard about his life and the things that he had done, and knew that he had been shot and lost his life.
Yeah.
But in the movie, I forgot everything, and so when the ending happened, I'm like, what? Whoa. Holy cow.
Yeah, he was actually killed during the production.
I know, and I totally forgotten that he lost his life before when it happened. The movie was terrible. And the entire theater was one of those movies where when we saw it in the theater, a lot of people there, when the movie ended and the credits started rolling, there was no applause or anything. It was total silence, and people sat there and watched the entire credits and then left in silence. That's as powerful as applause sometimes.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the air, we'll be back.
There's nothing like a nice piece of hickory.
And now, these messages.
This is Evel Knievel and the Evel Knievel shock-absorbing stunt cycle. You can make them do wheelies, backstands, even mid-air somersaults. And for that big jump, here's Evel, up and over that 4-foot ditch. Evel Knievel, sold separately or with the Evel Knievel stunt cycle from Ideal.
Kids never give up.
Kids are kids. Kids are kids, it's true. Kids will do things only kids will do. And moms are moms. They know what's fun for kids.
Maybe Mom will make us some Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid unsweetened and my sugar gives them fruity flavors and vitamin C. Besides, soda's about 3 times the price.
That hits the spot.
Moms know Kool-Aid is the one for kids.
Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450, 100.3 FM, WBHF, dispensing nostalgic, geeky talk radio. Every Saturday at this time, I come in and I flip the switch and have a good time. Truth, justice, and the pursuit of delicious barbecue. That's part of my mission in life. And if you want to dispense some justice too, that's okay in the American way. Hey, what more American way can you be than barbecue?
Exactly right.
I love barbecue. Time that we, flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. And I got Walt into Darkness in here with me today.
It's funny you say strange and bizarre and then mention me.
I don't know why I did that, but it does kind of fit, though, right? And me too, because I can be thrown into that.
Yeah, I'm not saying
I don't mind the people labeling us that. We like sometimes correct labels.
Yes, we do.
They're totally fine. I can say that I'm one of those rare guys. I'm probably one of the only guys in the radio biz that has a co-host that comes in with me and has fun with me sometime who's been in a Star Trek movie. I kind of like telling people that about you.
Yeah.
Star Trek Into Darkness. You want to roll on Star Trek Into Darkness, and it was fun. You say it was always fun to be on.
Oh, it was great.
That experience, talking with J.J. Abrams. And
amazing experience.
You can make the claim, because you are a Star Trek fan.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I was in a Star Trek film.
Yeah.
It's a big feather in your cap.
Well, and it was just fun. I mean, just fun. And it was a great group of people that put those movies together. And it kind of, I didn't know what to expect from Hollywood people. And they were just
sometimes you never do.
Yeah, no. And, people are people. And
that's true.
The folks out there are no different than the folks down here. So.
Well, again, I have the first news. And Walt will share them with me today as we go through these. They're pretty good from UPI. The Clark County School District Police Department of Las Vegas stopped a driver with a fake license plate that authorities say had a Cracker Jack stickers on it. This is a newsflash, I'm telling you.
Oh, my gosh.
Police referred to the female driver on Facebook as fictitious Phyllis and uploaded photos of the license plate. The driver was also quoted by saying, "My vehicle is registered to a trust. If you cite me for such, you'll be entering into a contract with the trust," unquote, the driver said. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Quote, "Upon our short and sweet investigation, Phyllis was issued some citations, and apparently we entered ourselves into a contract with a trust," police continued to say. The license plate had stickers on it that said DOT and 2022. Valid registrations would have included a sticker with a month and a year of renewal on there. So that's why she got cited.
Yeah, how about this, Phyllis? You've just entered into a contract with the court system.
And possibly it sounds like the Twilight Zone as well.
Well, I have the next news.
I mean, we look at people driving sometime, and I know you see it from time to time, and you wonder, how did they ever get... They probably don't have a license to drive the car.
It's kind of like a turtle on a tree stump. You don't know how he got there. You don't know how he's getting down.
We're just going to just accept it. There he is.
Just accept that he's there.
That's right.
All right, from the UPI, so we know this is true. Tropicana announced breakfast fans will soon be able to try a new product combining a pair of early morning favorites.
Oh, this is true.
Cereal and orange juice.
Not milk. Cereal and orange juice mixed together. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
The fruit company said followers of its Instagram page will have the chance to win a box of Tropicana Crunch, described as the first cereal made for OJ and maybe the last. The honey almond cereal is designed to be eaten with orange juice instead of milk. They say prepare your minds in cereal bowl for an unforgettable breakfast experience, the company said on its website. I have no doubt that is true. Tropicana said the specifics of the giveaway will be unveiled May 4th on its Instagram page.
Right.
That sounds awful.
Well, you know what? As awful as that sounds and the way I am about eating and cereal and stuff like that, I would try it once. I'll try it. I'll go, okay.
I would try it
I'm up
once.
for it. I'll try it. Because
as much as I hate to admit it, I would try it once.
I've had prejudice against cereal that I've heard, oh, that can't be good. I'm not going to try that. Or any kind of food. And I tried it, and I actually liked it. Now, granted, I tried some things that I thought I wouldn't like, and I did. I hated it. I'm like, oh, I was right. This is going to be bad. But speaking of that, did you know at one point, way back, I think, I don't know what year it was and when they got rid of it, back in the, it's in the 80s, early 80s. Kellogg's had a cereal called OJ's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
OJ, roll them out. Keep them oranges rolling.
That there's OJ Joe, rounding up oranges for Kellogg's, where they'll take the sweet juice and put it into new OJ's, a crunchy, delicious orange-tasting cereal.
Let's eat them up.
That's one delicious orange taste, OJ.
That's my brand.
OJ's are packed with vitamin C, part of this complete breakfast. New OJ, the delicious orange-tasting cereal.
Roll them out.
New Kellogg's OJ's. Each bowl has all the vitamin C of a 4-ounce glass of orange juice, 100% of the daily requirement, plus a delicious orange taste your kids will love. So it was an orange-based cereal that you ate with milk, though. You didn't put orange juice in this, but I guess you could have back then. But Tropicana, if they're coming out with a new cereal that you're supposed to add orange juice to instead of milk, I'll try it. I'll just try it because I'm with food. You look at me. I obviously have tried a lot of food and will continue to try food.
Well, here's what we'll do. We're going to buy one box.
You want to just do it on the air when
we'll
it comes
bring
out?
it into the station. We'll give it a try. That way, if it's terrible, we don't waste our money on 2 boxes.
Right.
We can tell our listeners how terrible. I mean, whether we like it or not, and put it to bed.
And if we don't like it, we'll put the box in the WBHF break room because we know that it will sit there for 10 years like some of the things that I have checked out back there before.
There's a cake in there that I think George Washington took with him.
Did he take it all across the Delaware?
Across the Delaware. It was. I was like, doesn't.
I've found things in the break room where I'm like, this I guess was food at one point. But now it's a science experiment.
That had some possibilities.
Creating new life forms
anymore.
Or something like that. So I got the next news. Oh, look at this. It's from our own backyard right here in Georgia. Members of a student organization at Georgia Tech attempted a Guinness World Record by creating and taking on a 4.2-mile hopscotch course.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, we're all familiar with hopscotch. I didn't really play it as a kid because mostly girls played hopscotch, so I didn't do it. But I always looked at it, I'm like, how do you do that? You know, so your right leg, you have to go 2 legs here. I just never got it. So, but members of the SEED, and they call it the SEEKD for discomfort, Seek Discomfort, a first-year organization aimed at helping students overcome their perceived limitations through unique experiences, drew up plans for a 4.2-mile hopscotch course that would traverse the Atlanta school's campus. Henning and her team designed and created stamps that would allow them to quickly and efficiently apply chalky squares to sidewalk surfaces. The team said they had been in contact with Guinness World Records since October and took measures to ensure that the record attempt would abide by the organization's rules. The current record for the longest hopscotch course stands at, you want to take a stab at what it stands at right now before they try to break it?
A mile.
No, it's 4 miles. So
What?
it's right at 4 miles, and it was set in Basking Ridge, New Jersey in 2019, so it was not too long ago. Henning said she expects to hear back from Guinness about whether the attempt was successful within a few weeks. Yeah, they have to adjudicate and confirm and go into conference over that and make sure that you have had all the criteria to break their records.
Well, I would assume at the end of that course is a chiropractor and an orthopedic surgeon handing out their business cards, because that has got to be a brutal...
Right, and for me, there better be at least 2 chili dogs with a
along the way,
Coca-Cola and whatever else I can get my hands on too as well. So yeah.
Well, you know, I have the next news.
You do?
Again, from UPI, and this one's right up my alley.
That's why I gave it to you. You'll see why.
The world's largest bottle of whiskey, verified by Guinness World Records,
whiskey,
as holding 82.16 gallons of single malt Scotch.
How big is it, though? Holy cow.
Oh my gosh! Well, and it is set to be auctioned in Scotland. The Intrepid at 5 foot 11 inch tall bottle of 32-year-old whiskey from the Macallan Distillery was certified as the world's largest bottle of whiskey after it was bottled by Duncan Taylor Scotch Whiskey in 2021.
Wow.
The behemoth bottle of booze is now scheduled to be auctioned May 25th by Edinburgh-based Lion & Trumbull. The auction house said the bottle could set a new world record for the most expensive bottle of whiskey, as it fetches a high bid exceeding $1.9 million. Never has Alan wished to be a millionaire as much as he does right now.
We will return after these messages.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
How you holding up?
I'm all right.
You want to go for 10 miles? If we make it, I'll buy you a beer.
If we make it, I'll buy you a lone brow.
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
Tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
I made you, you know it's true. Mr. Potato Head, I made you. Eyes and ears, mouth and nose too. Mr. Potato Head, I made you.
And now Mr. Potato Head's Sheriff, Fire Chief, and Lady Accessory Kits. Mr. Potato Heads, sold separately.
Mr. Potato Head, I made you.
Mr. Potato Head and Mr. Potato Head Accessory Kits, each sold separately from Romper Room.
And now back to the guy who knows no limit on self-promotion. It's BK on the air.
Well, you know, if I don't do it, nobody will. You know, self-promotion. It was like, how come you post so much on social media? I'm like, because it's free.
Exactly.
Promote the show somewhere. So, yeah, it's BK on the air here. I have, I think I have one more news. Oh, this is a good one. Now, this has to do with this past week. Did you know on April 28th, it was National Superhero Day?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Celebrated annually on April 28th. It was started by employees at Marvel Comics in 1995 to celebrate heroes, both real and fictional. The holiday began in 95 when the publisher behind heroes including Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Avengers, sent out interns to the streets of central Pennsylvania to interview children about what superpowers they would most like to have. The holiday has since become a day to celebrate fictional heroes as well as real-life heroes such as parents, teachers, and firefighters. Now, if I had to put you on the spot right now, which I'm going to do because you're on the spot and I'm putting you on it right there, who is your favorite fictional superhero? Who is Walt Murray's go-to favorite superhero? Mine changed from being a kid to when I got a little older, and I'll tell you the story about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was a kid,
when I liked as a kid, I still like him.
Yeah, I've always liked Spider-Man, and Batman is probably my favorite, even though some of the movies are tough to watch.
So is that Spider-Man when I was a kid, and now when you're older, it's Batman?
Yeah,
okay.
I still love Spider-Man, but Batman's probably my favorite.
First comic book I ever bought was a Spider-Man comic book. With my own money. I just had some money on me, and I bought it at a grocery store. And, and I'd known about superheroes even when I was a kid. But when I was a kid, I really liked Spider-Man. He was my favorite. I loved his 60s cartoon that I saw in syndication. I loved watching it. And still to this day, he is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Because he was a teenager.
Yeah.
He had problems.
And he is funny.
He wasn't Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent, which, those guys, Bruce Wayne's got a lot of problems, but just because he's got mental problems.
Yes.
The people that want to argue that Bruce Wayne doesn't have mental issues, I would say you're wrong.
You were wrong.
Because he does. He just happens to be a superhero and uses that. But, and Superman, Clark Kent, talk about a guy who, the only problem he's got is, he came from another planet. He's got to deal with that. But he was a reporter of the Daily Planet. He had a pretty smooth life with Lois Lane. But Spider-Man, he had to, bills when he moved out of his house. He didn't have a lot of money. He struggled with his grades in school. He was a smart guy.
He was an orphan. His
personal problems.
Uncle got killed.
Gwen, Mary Jane, a lot of stuff going on. But favorite superhero growing up. But now, I think this happened to me in the late 80s. I started reading more comics. And I'd known about Captain America for a long time, but the more that I'd read the story of Steve Rogers being a guy that grew up back in the 30s and 40s and wanting to serve his country but couldn't because he was so frail.
Yeah.
And he was given the opportunity to have this super soldier serum experimental thing put in him and to become this big specimen of perfect human muscular regenerative power. He's with the super soldier serum. They hit on it in the movie. He can't even get drunk anymore because the effects of alcohol don't affect him. So in the movie, when he feels bad about stuff that happened, he went to the bar and he's like, I can't even get drunk anymore to help me forget about this. So that was another interesting touch that they put in the film, Captain America: The First Avenger. So now, overall, I think my favorite superhero of all time is Captain America because of kind of what he stands for, and his origin was always great. And thank goodness of MCU and the folks at Marvel and Studios to tell his story correctly finally and get because he's talk about had some bad television productions and movies over the years.
Some of the worst.
Not well done at all. But yeah, so there you go. There's some news flashes for you. Did you see? I want to try to hit on some of these things because I got so many bullet points here that I want to get taken care of. And with you here today, and Alan's not here, I might be able to get to all of them.
Possibly.
No, it's a joke.
Probably not, but possibly. You can dream.
Alan's gone on a trip that we hope he returns from. We're saying a little prayer for Alan because he's going to be deep into the area of North Georgia where they filmed a lot of Deliverance.
I hear this is a big season for bears.
Yeah, so there could be. We're going to have to get an update from him when he gets back. Did you see the Jurassic World Dominion trailer? For the new Jurassic World film. That's one of those movies that's snuck by me on the radar, thinking, "Oh, yeah, that one's coming out too." I keep forgetting about
There's
that
a
one's
lot coming.
Well, I tell you what, I love Jurassic World, directed by Colin Trevorrow, and he's a good movie maker, good director. Because he's the guy that was originally, I don't know if you know this, he was originally set to direct The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
And he parted ways due to creative differences. Now that we look back on everything, we're thinking maybe they should have done the script that he wanted to do. A lot of people are thinking that.
Yeah.
When you see it and read, because it's available to see.
Too vehemently against that.
But he's a good director. He made the first Jurassic World, and then he was unavailable for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the second one. I think he produced it and did some things for it. But he didn't direct it. Somebody else directed it.
He was pointing it in the right direction.
And to me, the second one fell short of Jurassic World. I still liked it, but it was like, this one's not as interesting as the first one. Now that he's back on board for this new one, directing it, I think they're going to knock it out of the park with this one because not only is Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard in it as well.
Right.
But you have the original cast from Jurassic Park is in it as well. Sam Neill.
Right.
Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum. So I don't know why they've been pulled back into it. We're going to find out what's going on when it comes out, and it looks like it's that's one I'm definitely going to see in a theater because it's another one of those big movies I like seeing on the big screen.
Well, Jurassic World for me saved that franchise. I thought they had lost direction a little bit. It was just kind of a lot of the same stuff over and over again. But Jurassic World pulled me.
A lot of people agree with you. I would argue that the Lost World was the weak one for me out of the old ones. The second one Steven Spielberg made to me wasn't that great. I like Jurassic Park 3, where it, I don't know why I did it, because Joe Johnston directed that one. The guy directed Captain America and The Rocketeer. But Jurassic Park 3 I thought was better than The Lost World, the second one, so I did like that one. But I was kind of with you as thinking, let's take a few years, not have a Jurassic movie, and then come back maybe with some fresh blood. And that's what they did. And I'm looking forward to this one. I hope in this one that they've learned the lesson. Let's just stop doing this. Because every movie they're like, well, the whole park was destroyed at the end. The dinosaurs are killing people. And there's a volcano and everything's just falling apart. Wow, that's terrible. Next movie. Hey, let's make another park.
Right. Yes.
Let's make more dinosaurs.
Yes.
Why do you want to do that?
We fail colossally and kill a bunch of people every single time. Let's keep doing it.
Who do you think's running this? The government? Yeah, I guess so.
Right,
because that's another entity that never learned.
Yeah, it's like quit waking up Godzilla. Just stop waking him up.
I know Godzilla helps, but he also hurts a lot of stuff. So you've noticed that, by the way? But I guess if you have another monster on the loose destroying things, I guess you got to hire this other one. Well, let's go get Godzilla.
Yeah, right. Gotta get
let him take care of it. So 770-386-1450 is our number, by the way. If you're excited about a lot of movies that are coming out, we've got a lot of them on the horizon that are coming out. We'll talk a little bit more about them after the top of the hour later on. But did you hear the Marvel news, by the way? And we'll get to a lot of other stories that kind of dovetails with this. John Watts, the director who directed Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and then Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
He's our Spider-Man director for the MCU, John Watts. Well, this kind of slipped by me. I either read it and forgot it, or I read it and it just slipped my mind, or I didn't hear about it because I thought I was up on a lot of this. He was already in place to direct the Fantastic Four, the MCU's redo of that, which I'm sure they're going to make it. Talk about another movie franchise that's been destroyed by bad movies, the Fantastic Four, which... They're a great group by Marvel, too, by the way. So with the MCU, I think they'll do it right. John Watts was in place to direct it, and he is backed out. He says, and it was total happy terms.
Yeah.
Kevin said, we look forward to continuing to work with John Watts. He's going to still work with us. They're like, in fact, he may work with us in some ways on the new Fantastic Four movie, just not as director. So he was going to direct it. I don't know if he's maybe looking for something different to do. Maybe he's got another Spider-Man movie that he'd.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he didn't back out because he was going, another Fantastic Four colossal failure.
Yeah, and I would think that initially, until someone told me, no, it's the folks at the Marvel Studios that have it. That's going to do it. I'm like, then I feel confident.
I feel good,
that it will be great. And I hope they set it in the early 60s where the original comic book takes place during like the Cold War and everything. And then they have the Mole Man in it with the monsters that come from under the earth. I don't know how they're going to do it, but if they do it right, which they usually do, I have no doubt that the Fantastic Four will be another huge, maybe it'll be another movie that they lead up to, kind of like they led up to the Avengers, and they're always leading up to some big event.
Have you ever seen the unreleased Fantastic Four movie?
I did, and I will tell you that I have a copy of that. I actually have one of the best copies you can get from a friend in California that was in charge of cutting that trailer together and doing it. And that was a weird. The company. What was the story behind that? The production company had to make a movie so they could retain the rights of the film, but even though they had no intention of releasing it into the theater, they still had to make something and do it. So they did. And I'll tell you about that little 1994 Fantastic Four movie that came out. That movie, as cheaply made as it was, has to this day been the best Fantastic Four movie
That is what I was
going to
say, too. I saw it on YouTube before it got taken down.
Yep.
And
I got a DVD of it if you want to borrow it and see it.
I would love to see it again. But it is so much better than any of the other Fantastic Four.
It has more heart about the characters. It's just better overall.
It felt more true to the comic books.
It really did.
And, of course, the special effects weren't put together as well as they should have been.
And they had a lot of stock footage from other films.
Yeah,
just
but they weren't going to release it. They just had to
complete it
and check the box and say we did it within the time frame.
It's got a cult following now.
It does
over years and years.
It's definitely worth watching if you're a Fantastic Four
fan. It is,
fan.
but if you can't look past the imperfections in it, like the effects and stuff like that, you're not going to enjoy it. If you can look beyond that and see what it was made for, I think people who are fans of the genre of that group, they would like it. So yeah, I had no idea that you'd seen that. That's cool.
I have.
You'd seen it.
I watched it one afternoon.
And you gave me another breath of fresh air, because every time we bring it up with someone, I bring it up with someone in conversation, I'm always totally prepared to say that was the biggest steam of pile of crap I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, wait, no, you don't understand. You got it, which was good.
Yeah, and part of it was also like you kind of threw one by them because we were never supposed to see this.
But it's got a lot of heart in it, even down to the ending where they get married at the end. And
yeah, so good.
It's great. Yeah, the later ones were, the last ones they did, Fantastic Four, were not that great. And the last reboot they did was horrible.
It had nothing.
They had even different actors in that
no
one. So.
Heart. You didn't like the characters.
Don't you hate it when people get a hold of a property and put it together and make a movie that have absolutely no idea what it's about?
That's awful.
That just makes me so mad. It's BK on the air. We'll stay tuned. We'll be back.
Captain America here. I need your help battling the energy wasters, the thermal thief, the wattage waster, and the cold air crook. These insidious villains are probably in your home. Defeat the thermal thief by shutting doors. Waste the wattage waster by turning off unused lights. And cool the cold air crook by shutting the refrigerator door. Saving energy is everyone's business, so keep it up, America.
Master has placed you in a dreadfully precarious position. You're playing the most phenomenal game ever created. Your skin grows cold from your first glimpse of the enormous beast. It's a product of your imagination. Survival depends on a quick, decisive move. Your choices are limited. Stand and fight, or run. Use your lightning bolt. Victory is yours.
Win the treasure.
TSR Hobbies, Dungeons & Dragons game. Products of your imagination.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. I got Walt Murray. Walt into Darkness is in the studio here with me today. Alan Sanders we told him to hit the trail, and he did.
He did.
He's
took us
off
literally
somewhere on the Appalachian Trail, North Georgia, just hiking right along. Hopefully he avoids anything hazardous. So,
or most things. I mean, we wanted to come back with some good stories.
Right, but just in case, next week, are you available just to fill in from now on? Why not?
If he's not here, then I will be here.
That would be the reason.
That would be the reason at that point.
Just MIA, and he has the possibility of coming back.
We will assume the worst.
Right. I mean, he may be, I don't know, unable to speak or something. We don't know. We have to check it out. Later on in the program today, I've got a quiz for Walt, and you can play along as well. In the last half of the hour, after the bottom of the hour, we're going to have a MeTV quiz, which we do from time to time. It's called How Much Did McDonald's Cost in 1972? I'm going to give Walt the item from McDonald's that most of them, I guess, you can still get today on their items. And he's going to have to tell me how much was it 50 years ago in 1972.
If the question is greater or less than today, I'm going with less than.
I think they're all less than. All your choices are. So that's going to be the hard part. So, and I do want to remind everybody, we were talking about movies and stuff that were coming out and things going on. In a mere 6 days from Marvel Studios.
I did what I had to do to protect our world. What do you know about the multiverse?
Viz had his theories. He believed it was dangerous.
You opened the doorway, and we don't know who or what will walk through it. Things just got out of hand.
We should tell him the truth. The Illuminati will see now. We will see what kind of Doctor Strange you are.
The same nightmare.
I'm sorry, Stephen. Your desecration of reality will not go unpunished. I never
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness from Marvel Comics, Marvel Studios.
I think I'm looking more forward to that movie than any movie in a while.
Isn't that interesting how that happens?
Yeah, I'm a big Doctor Strange fan.
He's kind of replaced Iron Man, Tony Stark, as the cornerstone character, the main character that kind of holds the Marvel universe together, or destroys it. Either way, but it's up to him to put. You know how sometimes people will tear something up, but they'll rush back and go, "Hey, I know how to fix it now."
Yes, right.
So I think he's going to be either forced to fix it, or there's a higher entity group keeping watch over what's going on.
There's a possibility.
They mentioned the Illuminati, who I'm not very familiar with in Marvel Comics. I'm not familiar with who they are, but I do know that they contain one of the members in it is Professor X, Patrick Stewart from the X-Men. As you heard his voice, now you've actually, in that trailer, you can see his little hover chair wheeling into the scene.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so now Marvel and Disney really is acquiring back all of the rights to these other characters, which they didn't have to the X-Men for a while. So I'm wondering now how many more cameos could be in this, since it's the multiverse.
Yeah, this could
we
be
might see a lot of
interesting movie.
thing. There's actually one scene. It shows the Illuminati up there on a top of the stairs with all their chairs that they're sitting in, and Doctor Strange is being led in shackles, and there are Ultron robots escorting him. They look like Ultron in the face.
Very interesting.
And I understand that Iron Man, was it the Superior Iron Man? Another type Iron Man was on the Illuminati at the time. And so, if you look real close at the trailer, it looks like Blade up there as well, the vampire hunter. He was part of the Illuminati.
Gosh.
So I don't know what they're going to... I have no idea what they're going to do.
This is going to be interesting.
This is another lead up to the big Infinity War Endgame thing.
Kind of all blows up.
But it's interesting that you should say that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is what you're most looking forward to this year. I remember back, I can't remember what year it was, but it was the year that Avengers Endgame was coming out, and it was also the same year that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, the end of the new prequels, were coming out. And I could not believe it, because I was thinking to myself, this is the first time in my life where there was a Star Wars movie coming out, and it wasn't the main film that I was looking forward to.
Yeah, me too.
I was looking forward to it, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But I'm looking more forward to Avengers Endgame coming out, because that's the one I'm more vested in and want to see. Because if they'd have told me, you can only see one of these, which one would you go see? You can't see the other. I'm like, Avengers Endgame.
I think, for one thing, we knew that Marvel was handling their movies better than the folks were handling the Star Wars.
They kind of were. And definitely the folks at DC and Warner Brothers
DC.
that we talked
I have
about.
no expectation of...
Now, I did say this a little bit earlier on Alan's show, but I noticed that Discovery has bought Warner Media.
Warner, yeah, you had mentioned
They
that.
acquired them. So now it's called Warner... It's called Warner Media Discovery, I think is the name of the company. Is that what it's called?
It's a very odd pairing.
Warner Brothers Discovery. That's what it's called now. So, and a current overhaul is in place with their DCU, the DC universe.
And there needs to be.
And I don't know whether it started with Batman with Matt Reeves movie, or the Joker. They've certainly tried something different with those last couple of movies. So, you know what? It's weird because they have so many weird things going on that have no connection to each other.
Yeah.
The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Great movie. Rated R. You enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it.
Great movie.
And if they never made another one, it would be great as a standalone film.
Yes, absolutely.
It has nothing to do with any of the Batman continuity at all.
Nope.
Robert Pattinson's The Batman has nothing to do with Ben Affleck or Christian Bale or any of the other stuff. But DC and Warner Brothers still has this established universe with Ben Affleck as Batman. Is it Ezra Miller as the Flash, I think, who just got arrested a couple of times in Hawaii for beating somebody up or something. And you got Aquaman.
Well, who among us? You know?
Jason Momoa. Yeah, he hit him real fast, though.
Yeah, right.
Jason Momoa is Aquaman. They still have that continuity going on with the next Flash movie coming out, which still, though, has nothing to do with the Robert Pattinson, the Batman movie. They got so many different versions that has nothing to do with each other. Maybe an overhaul is needed.
I think so. It's almost like, let's just start today, and everything that's past is past.
And by the way, Michael Keaton's in the new Flash movie as the old Batman from the Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, right.
Because they're doing their own little multiverse weirdo thing, too. Now, let's be honest. DC did the multiverse first in the comic books. They did. They did that first.
Yep.
But Marvel has done it first in the movies and very successfully.
Yes,
BK on the air.
Hey, Spidey, isn't Marvel's new Pizzazz magazine fantastic?
Fantastic, but not perfect.
But Pizzazz has the lowdown on Jaws, too, and more Sean Cassidy picks than his mother. It's sensational.
Sensational, but not perfect.
How about Pizzazz's Goofy Guide to TV? It's wild look at sci-fi movies. It's games, puzzles, comics. What could be more perfect?
Me on the cover, not the Hulk.
Pizzazz, the almost perfect new monthly from the off-the-wall gang at Marvel Comics.
Love podcasts? You'll love Podcast Magazine, taking readers into the lives of today's leading podcasters and beyond the microphone of the shows fans love. Each month, Podcast Magazine's dedicated writers share personal interviews, industry happenings, exclusive categorical charts, and independent ratings and reviews of under-the-radar shows. If you listen to podcasts, subscribe now at podcastmagazine.com and grab a free lifetime subscription while you can. That's podcastmagazine.com.
You are listening to BK on the Air on AM 1450, FM 100.3, and online on the TuneIn radio app. Now, back to a guy who'll make you feel really young, mostly because he's so old. It's BK on the Air.
Right, a little ELO for you this Saturday morning, having a good time here. Birmingham Blues. Now, when Jeff Lynn says Birmingham Blues, he means Birmingham, England.
Of course.
More like Birmingham, Alabama. So, where do you think our Birmingham, Alabama got their name from?
Exactly.
That's right. A little rock and roll this morning, having a good time. I'm glad that it was National Record Store Day last weekend. That was fun. Eddie Bruce down here at the Rockin' Shop had them lined up around the corner and up the railroad tracks.
That's great.
It was great. It was a big success. I got a caller waiting on the line right now. Let's go to the phones and find out. Hey, it's BK on there. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Barry.
Oh, hey. Look who's calling.
Hello,
it's
Eric.
Hello, Happy Eric. Happiest caller of the show.
Now, you say you're unfamiliar with the Illuminati.
Yes, I wasn't really familiar with who they are in Marvel. Are you going to enlighten us as to who the Illuminati are?
Barry, before this movie comes out,
Yes.
do your research. It's a foreign concept to you.
Yeah, but I didn't know a lot about the Eternals either, and I watched the movie and still am in the dark. No, I'm kidding.
Well, Barry, the Eternals are a whole different thing.
Yeah, unsuccessful, unfortunately, for the movie theater.
Well,
yeah.
The only reason I like that movie is, well.
Angelina Jolie.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're
Good.
right. You know
Yeah.
me.
She is good in it. Yes.
Now, do your research.
Well, why don't you tell everybody kind of in a Reader's Digest version of who the Illuminati are and what we maybe can expect from them? Because let's put it this way. They may be different than they are in the comics when they're in the movie, because, when the movies change them around a little bit sometime.
Yeah. In the 90s version, as I remember it, Stephen Strange started. No. Professor X started it with T'Challa. And then they recruited Stephen Strange.
Okay.
And I think Submariner was in there.
But you're using a lot of words like I think and I sort of. But do you know who the Illuminati are?
Barry, look, I'm almost 40 years old.
Just checking.
Don't mess with me.
Does that mean you're 39?
I will be 39 in exactly 25 days.
Well, then you're almost 39, not almost 40. Let's get it right.
That's right.
Yeah, don't rush the 40 thing.
For those of us who suffered through 40.
Yeah, let's be clear, yeah.
Look, I suffered through 38.
You ain't seen nothing yet till you get to 49, so that's another story.
Don't jinx me.
Well, you saw the trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What did you think about the trailer? Are you looking forward to it, obviously?
Yes.
Good, we are too. Yeah, we really are. I think it's going to be great in Sam Raimi's hands.
It is the one movie that I will go see if I don't care whether I have to go by myself.
Okay. Now, am I correct in assuming, without getting too bogged down into it because we don't have a lot of time, is the Illuminati a group of people that are kind of watching over something to make sure certain things don't happen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. They're kind of like the police force of some kind, I guess.
And Blade was in there, but I don't know where he's in the movie.
Well, there is a shot in the trailer. You need to look at it really close, or maybe freeze frame it while you're watching it if you see it on YouTube.
Okay.
There's a shot of a guy up there near one of the chairs with what looks like a sword on his back. It looks like Blade to me.
Well, how they go for it?
I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. Yeah.
Don't say that.
By the way, in the trailer you do see Captain Carter, which is Peggy Carter from Captain America, as Captain Carter with her Great Britain's shield in the trailer. So, which I guess she's from a multiverse. So, I think it's going to be crazy. In the hands of Sam Raimi, there's going to be a horror element to it, no doubt, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it because I really enjoy Sam Raimi movies. I'm a Sam Raimi fan.
Oh, so did I.
All right, well let's end the call on something positive. What's your favorite? If you had to pick a great favorite Sam Raimi directed film, what would it be?
Dark Man.
You like Dark Man with Liam Neeson? That was a good one. Yeah, there's another superhero I would think. Have you seen?
I thought he was a superhero, and then
Yeah, never had a comic book.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any of Sam's later movies, which actually were really good? After Spider-Man, he returned to the horror genre with a movie called Drag Me to Hell. Did you see that?
I haven't. On a streaming service.
And there's another one called The Gift with Kate Blanchett, where she plays a fortune-telling lady with Greg Kinnear and a lot of other great cast.
No, because I don't like Kate Blanchett.
Well, it's a good movie. You should check it out. It's a Sam Raimi movie. Keanu Reeves is in it. Who's the girl that played the boxer in the Clint Eastwood movie?
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank. She's in it. Who else is in it? I can't remember. It's got J.K. Simmons in it too as the sheriff. Guy plays J. Jonah Jameson. So Sam Raimi likes to use him.
He is good at everything he does.
Including farmers insurance commercials. He is.
Wasn't
good.
he in Oz?
Was he in Oz?
Wasn't he the psychiatrist?
I didn't see Oz, but he may well have been in Oz, yeah. Well, Eric, we're looking forward to all of it, buddy, and always good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in, as always.
I'll call you back in a couple weeks.
Now, try to turn that frown upside down, okay? All right. I'm stealing a Toys R Us.
There we go.
Thing. Oh,
they're out of business, so they can't sue
I'll
you.
start using that, as my...
use a giraffe as your mascot.
Or a hippo, which is me or anything. See, I almost said something about Moon Knight and a hippo because that reminded me of Moon Knight, and I can't now because you haven't seen it, and I don't want to ruin anything for you. So I can't wait for you to sit down and watch Moon Knight as a complete movie entity.
I know. I'm really looking forward to it.
All I'm going to tell you is this. Here's my advice is when you sit down to watch Moon Knight. Watch it, and it's not one of those shows where, oh, it's on, I got to run to the kitchen. No, don't leave the screen. Don't do it. Pause it or do something. Try to watch it without interruptions if you can do it. Like a movie, if you can. Pause between episodes. You can do that. But try your best. I mean, you've got to really watch this show, and that's not saying that it's boring or anything. There's just a lot of detail and a lot of stuff to watch,
and a lot of Easter eggs.
And a lot of there's actually no Easter eggs.
Really?
He makes. I don't think there's actually maybe one, but I don't remember any major reference to any MCU stuff at all in this show. Okay. Now, it does take place within the timeline right now of the MCU. But they don't mention much.
I thought there was something on a TV. Somebody's telling me like you got to pay attention.
There
to
might be something on a TV, but there's not any big mention of anything that happened in the MCU in this.
Okay.
I don't think so. Maybe by design.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. But the cast is really great. Oscar Isaacs is fantastic in this.
Yeah.
Not only does he have to play one character, he has to play two and sometimes three, maybe four. So
wow. Okay.
But it's really good, and it's really great how they've done the Moon Knight costume. It's another one of those, you know how you watch a superhero story unfold and you're like, boy, I'd like to be that superhero.
Yeah.
Man, I'd love to be Superman. Man, I'd love to be Green Lantern. I'd love to be these guys. Some of these superheroes, you watch some of them and you're like, man, I'm glad I'm not that guy. Because some of them are these characters not by choice.
Right.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Or someone chooses them. So you'll see what I mean when you watch it.
I would not want to be Green Lantern because nobody's ever written a good Green Lantern script.
That's a different reason. You'd like to be him with the ring and everything.
Yeah, with the ring.
But just not done the way he is.
You would just have a terrible life because your scripts are so bad.
With the DC Warner overhaul being bought by Discovery, let's hope they get their collective kryptonite together there.
Man, let's hope.
Because I've heard flip-flopping on Henry Cavill. Well, he is Superman still? Well, no, he's not. Well, he is. No, he's not.
Let's
so
hope not.
I just hope they pick him as James Bond. That'll make me happy. But
yeah, I would take him
he'd be as Bond.
I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else. I think that whole universe needs a fresh start.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the frustrating thing is, we love those characters so much.
I love them.
We don't want them to fail. Every single time they come out, we're like, please be good. Please be good. And they're terrible, and it drives you crazy.
I will say this: there are fans that like them. I mean, there are people that were so happy when the 10-hour cut of Justice League that Zack Snyder released or whatever. The long version of that, they just clamored for it and loved it. Release the Snyder cut. That's all I heard, and it finally came out. But I haven't watched it yet. I just watched the regular Justice League, and when I heard that there's a Snyder cut being done that's even longer, I'm like, what, they're going to make it longer? I thought it was too long to begin with.
Well, that was the thing. It's like,
so I don't know.
So bad.
I don't
Why
know.
make it
To each his
longer
own.
and torture us more?
Movies are, and you can't, with me, here's the problem with me when I run into fans of things, and I get emails when I talk about stuff on the air and on the podcast. I'll get the stuff like, how can you say you didn't like X or Y or Z? How can you not like that?
Because I didn't
blah,
like
blah,
it.
blah. How can you be a comic book fan? Well, because you can't, with me, and you too, and to the most part, Alan and most of us, you can't slap something on it and say it's something and expect me to like it just automatically.
Right, yeah.
And the same goes with Star Trek, with me.
Yeah.
That new show that was on Discovery, I tried watching it. I said, this is probably one of the worst
I can't watch it.
Star
It's
Trek
so
produced
tough.
things I've ever seen. Now, a lot of people like it. They watch it and they're fans of it. And that's okay because you can like stuff and I can dislike stuff.
Well, one of my friends and I were talking about Picard, and I was like, I just haven't
couldn't get
started
into that
because
either,
I can't, and he was like, I keep thinking it's going to get good,
Right.
and it doesn't. And, I keep
And it
watching,
has some
hoping it
fans.
does.
I mean, some people like it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
came back for a second season.
Sure.
So I'm not a robot. I can't just mindlessly follow something if I like it. But then I like stuff sometimes that no one else likes, and they wonder why I like that.
Sure.
So, it's called different tastes.
That's right. And it's okay to
That's
have.
why I don't like tomatoes, and some people do.
I do not.
It's BK on there. We'll be back.
Good taste. What is good taste? Let me put it this way. If you've got it, you don't have to shout it. And you certainly don't show it like this. In coffee, good taste is a subtle thing. A blend of rich flavor and long experience. And once you've found it, nothing else will do. Maxwell House ground coffee. Always good to the last drop.
What molds into silly animals and silly shapes?
Silly putty?
What bounces like a ball?
Silly putty?
What stretches and stretches?
Silly putty.
What picks up pictures from a newspaper and makes them silly? And if you stretch it, even sillier.
Silly putty.
Are you sure Silly Putty can do all those things?
Yes, silly putty is fun.
Silly Putty comes in a shell shaped like an egg. Nothing else is Silly Putty.
If I were human, I believe my response would be, go to hell.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air. Let's do a little on this day in history now that we're back. April the 30th. Today's the last day of April?
That is crazy.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Tomorrow was my mom's birthday.
Happy birthday to your heavenly birthday to your mom.
Absolutely.
On this day in history, 1859, Charles Dickens first published A Tale of Two Cities on this day.
Wow, I remember that well.
You reincarnated?
Yes.
1904. You won't believe what made its debut on this day in 1904 at the St. Louis World's Fair.
Oh, 1904.
Yeah, a lot. Some things did, but this is in particular.
Gosh.
This was invented by Ernest A. Hamwi, or Hamwi, Hamwi.
The ham sandwich.
That's a good guess. The ice cream cone.
Oh, man, I should have known that.
That was your second guess.
That was.
The ice cream cone. Just think about it. In 1904... if it was before that, you couldn't get an ice cream cone. Things we think that have been
They
around
just
since...
scoop it into your hand.
That's right. Make me laugh and I'll lose a lung here. Things that we've just thought have been around since caveman days. I'm like, didn't the cavemen invent the ice cream cone? Come on, it's been around forever.
I mean, that's that has always been here.
No, it's 1904. 1952 was the first toy advertised on television. This toy was the first one advertised on television. Mr. Potato Head. in 1952.
Yeah. Wow, 1952, man.
I still think it's great that in Toy Story, Mr. Potato Head is Don Rickles.
Oh, I know.
I just
He's
think,
so
what
great.
other voice could they have done? It was great. He's a sarcastic Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
And 1976, Paul McCartney and Wings released Silly Love Songs on this day.
Great song.
Which is probably one of my favorite songs by him and Wings. And people got mad at me when I was a kid because I'm like, Paul McCartney was another band before Wings? Because that's how I kind of got introduced to him, was Wings, in the 70s. I didn't hear the Beatles till later, or I heard them and I didn't know it was them. Today in 1980, on this day in 1981, the movie, and it was part 2. Friday the 13th, part 2 was released in 1981 on this day in history.
Man.
A great sequel, by the way. The second one is great. That's Jason didn't show up to the second one. He's not. Jason's not in the first one.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Mom doing all the killing in the first one. Wow. We've said that before. 1989. This will blow your mind too. The World Wide Web, WWW, on this day in 1989 is first launched into the public domain by CERN scientist Tim Berners-Lee.
Say the year again.
1989.
That is unbelievable.
And check this out. 1993, on this day, it's almost like they wanted to pick April 30th as the day. The World Wide Web source code is released by CERN CERN, making the software freely available to all in 1993.
Crazy.
We would think it's been around longer, but it really hasn't, so it's a big part of our lives.
Yeah, I remember doing a job search for the first time and just being blown away by...
Oh, did you do that too? I'd been working somewhere for so long when I first had to look for another job, the way you did it had changed.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I can't just get the newspaper now.
Right.
I mean, I could, but that's just not the way to do it. Now I've got to use the web to look for another job.
It was in about 95 or 96, I think, when I first had to do that.
We've been talking a lot about superhero films today. Today on this day in history, April the 30th, 2018, the superhero film Avengers Infinity War sets a new record for an opening weekend, earning $250 million in the U.S., which gave it $630 million worldwide for the opening weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of movies don't make that in their entire run.
And it went on to make a gazillion dollars,
and
right?
It went on to be a huge hit, yes.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. On this day, 2019, April 30th, we said goodbye to Chewbacca. Peter Mayhew passed away. The guy who had played Chewbacca for so many years. That guy was so tall.
Yeah.
And kind of looked like Chewbacca later in life with his hair.
Yeah, he did.
The way he always grew his hair a little
such
long.
a great...
I did meet him once. Very nice guy. He's another one of those guys that was just so nice. And I think he and, for a while, he and Dave Prowse were friends because they both were two guys in Star Wars that were incredibly tall, but were always behind a mask.
Oh, yeah. So
they had that going for them. So that's cool. Birthdays today. Today is Alexander Meister's birthday, American actor. Oh, wait a minute. That's his regular name. You might remember him as Al Lewis, Grandpa on The Munsters.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. He was a guy who always looked old.
He did. He did. His birthday today, he was born in 1923. He passed away in 2006. Today's is a birthday of someone that you and I are huge, big fans of and talked about her quite a bit on a certain podcast that we all love.
Yeah.
Cloris Leachman. It's her birthday today. Yeah. She died in 2021. And remember when we lost her.
Just an amazing actress.
She was so versatile, but so funny.
Oh, she was.
She was so funny. And people raved about the Mary Tyler Moore show being as popular as it was. Well, when Phyllis, her show, spun off, as a kid, when I tried to watch them, I kind of thought Phyllis was a little funnier than Mary Tyler Moore. Because, I don't know, that was just me. It wasn't as popular or successful.
Well, the outtakes from Young Frankenstein with her and Gene Wilder, just him cutting her up and just...
You wonder how they got anything filmed.
Yeah.
Because
and she would just get so mad at him for making her laugh.
And then delving into it deeper, like we did for the Wilder Ride podcast, we find out that Terry Gard was kind of, I don't know, annoyed by Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
He annoyed her the way he would do things. I think she still liked him, though, but she was kind of
he didn't always follow the exact script.
No, and you know what? I think that's expected of Gene Wilder.
Yes, absolutely.
1982, it's birthday today. She was born. Kirsten Dunst, who played Mary Jane in Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. She was also, I forgot, she was really young in Interview with a Vampire with Tom Cruise. She was in there as well.
Wow, yeah.
And I'd kind of forgotten about that. Today is also a birthday that we'll take note of. Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman.
Oh, yes.
She was born in 1985. She was born the year after I graduated. That's how young some of these people are. I'm like, wow, really?
She's a kid.
And you know what's funny? She was just in the Death on the Nile, the new Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie movie. Did you see it yet?
I have not.
It was actually pretty good. I can't get into. I'm not a big fan of Agatha Christie murder mystery. The French guy Perrault, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Because I'm not into that stuff. But Kenneth Branagh puts just enough shine as a director on those movies to where I'm like, oh, I really like what he does with them because he makes them acceptable to those who don't really care for it. Well, she's in it. Gal Gadot is in Death on the Nile. And I remember watching the first Wonder Woman film with her in the theater, and my lovely Mrs. BK sitting there watching it with me, which I love. The first Wonder Woman film is great. I think there's one point where Stacy leans over to me and she goes, you know, it should be a federal crime to be as good looking as she is. I'm like, okay. She is so expletive pretty, she said. She's like, man. I'm like, wow, you're right. She is.
Well, and she is one of those people that when she got cast as Wonder Woman, and just kind of like Benedict Cumberbatch getting Doctor Strange, when they play that part, it's like that was the perfect casting.
Yeah, you throw Robert Downey Jr. in there too. Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr.
Perfect casting.
Like that, she is that person now.
I think Marvel and some of these folks DC, but Marvel takes much care in who they cast in the parts.
Yeah.
Because they took a chance with Chris Evans, not much of a chance because he had already played the Human Torch in those horrible Fantastic Four movies we're talking about. But he was actually good as Johnny Storm.
Yeah, he was great.
And they're like, well, they could have went, well, you've already been in some of these movies already as another character. But they went, no, he's actually the best for the job. Let's cast him as Steve Rogers.
Yep.
And he knocked it out of the park. So
probably the fact that the Fantastic Four was so bad and everybody was trying to forget it.
That's what they were counting on. Probably they're not going to remember that.
Yeah. But he was great. He was perfect for that.
Today, April the 30th, Ana de Armas was born. She's the Cuban actress that was in Knives Out. She was the little housekeeper girl. And she was also in No Time to Die, the last James Bond movie.
Oh, right.
She was the Cuban agent that he ran into, the one that could fight in the high heels and the dress and everything. She's another one where it should be a crime how gorgeous she is, because she's great, too. I forgot. She was in, do you remember the sequel to Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah.
She was in it, and I'd forgotten that she was in it. Do you remember there was one scene where there's a giant billboard of a girl.
Yes.
Looking, just in the background or whatever. That's her. In Blade Runner, she's in there.
Really?
And I've also heard she's been cast as Marilyn Monroe in an upcoming Marilyn Monroe biopic. Her.
Oh, I noticed there's something on Marilyn Monroe out on Netflix right now. Is that it?
She's been cast as the ballerina. I don't know if you saw the last John Wick movie. I'm a big John Wick fan.
Oh yeah.
Keanu Reeves. The girl, the ballerina in the one film. She's been cast as a spinoff from the John Wick movie called Ballerina.
Oh, okay.
So she's going to have like a spinoff action movie. Today is National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day. It's fantastic. National Bugs Bunny Day, Doc. Today is National Honesty Day. Honest it is.
And now these messages.
Isn't the color a little dark?
Believe me, you'll get used to it.
These days, it's pretty hard to get things done your way. But not at Burger King.
2 Whoppers and 2 chocolate chicks.
Could we have the Whoppers with extra ketchup on them? Sure.
See, Burger King doesn't make all its delicious 100% pure beef hamburgers ahead of time. You want your Whopper built some special way, you get it without a lot of waiting.
Have it your way, Burger King.
If you can pick bristle blocks up, you can put them together. And if you can put bristle blocks together, you can build all kinds of interesting things. Put any 2 bristle blocks together any which way, and they'll stay. Then you can pull them apart and see what else you can make.
What is that?
It's you, Daddy. Bristle blocks at 806 from Play School, a Milton Bradley company.
For the commercial, friends, when my room becomes soiled, I use Come Clean, the spot remover with the applicator top. 1 dab, and it's clean. There. Remember, in my court, it's Come Clean. Now, back to the case.
You bastards! Why are you torturing me like this? Why?
Hey, we're back. back. It's BK on the air. I got a little story here that happened back in October, but I do want to tell Walt about it because he hadn't heard about it. I know that you out there may have heard about it already because I did post it on the internet. Sci-fi becomes real life. NASA doctor holoports to the International Space Station. This particular article is from USA Today. Listen to this. A NASA doctor appeared as a hologram at the International Space Station for a telemedicine visit. Visiting with an astronaut on October the 8th, according to NASA. The holoportation, a word made from hologram and transportation, obviously, features a lifelike visual and audio connection between the Space Center and those back on Earth. Dr. Josef Schmid and his crew were holoported to the ISS using the Microsoft HoloLens kinetic camera and a personal computer with custom software, AEXA, or whatever, the AEXA, according to a release from NASA. Schmidt had a virtual conversation with astronaut Thomas Pesquet as a part of a 3D telemedicine visit. The technology allows users to interact with the remote participants in 3D as if they were physically in the same space. How about that? Star Trek and Star Wars. We are doing what no man has done before in a galaxy right here.
That
come on.
Insane.
That is awesome. Which show had the holographic doctor on Star Trek? Voyager.
It's Voyager,
yeah. They had the holographic doctor. So, and then they have the little holograms they always have in Star Wars, like when R2-D2 projected Princess Leia, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
You're my only hope.
There's little holograms there.
You're our only hope.
So, it's all of this is it's coming down the pike.
And some of the stuff that's real is even better than the stuff, or even more.
Some of our stuff is actually better than the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
It's becoming
Crazy.
better. So I think it's awesome. I know that some bad things will come too because technology always does good and bad.
Oh no, there's no chance of that.
Oh, you don't think there's any bad stuff coming? No, no one will abuse anything.
No, never.
Shall we play a game?
Well, sometimes we do Me TV quizzes. I'll get them for Alan, and the people listening to the show can play along. I've got one today. Let's go ahead and do it now since we have a moment from Me TV. I love the guys at Me TV because, you love them too.
Oh, they're great.
You order T-shirts from Me TV. I love your Sanford and Son T-shirt that you sometimes wear. But it's memory television. It's awesome television of the past. They run shows that we love. This is the quiz that I thought we'd do today because, number one, we like food. Number two, we like nostalgia.
Love nostalgia.
And number three, we sort of remember 1972. It was 50 years ago.
That's right.
But I do kind of remember it. This is called, Can You Guess How Much These Items Were at McDonald's in 1972?
Let's give it
this
a run.
This is going to be fun, but it's going to be a little painful, too. McDonald's is an American as well as apple pie. They even serve that apple pie there. They do serve apple pie at McDonald's. It's just as hot as the temperature of the surface of the sun.
Right.
Watch out when you bite into it. Can you guess how much these menu items cost at the nation's largest burger chain in 1972, which was 50 years ago? We talked about 1982 being 40 years ago. 72 was 50 years ago. You might have to dig back deep into your memory to find out. So I'm going to give you the McDonald's menu item, and you tell me out of the three choices I'm going to give you which one's correct about the price of that item.
All
Number
right,
one,
let's do it.
the Big Mac, probably their most famous burger of all time. In 1972, was the Big Mac 50 cents, 65 cents, or 75 cents?
I'm going to go 65 cents.
You say it was 65. You're right. You're starting off on a great footing here. Great burger. How much did a large order of fries cost at McDonald's back in 1972? 46 cents, 55 cents, or 68 cents?
46 cents.
46. You'd be right. Uh-oh. Did you take this last night?
I have not taken this quiz before.
I believe you. Third item up for bids. On the McDonald's 1972, which price is right?
Right.
This happens to be my favorite burger at McDonald's, the Quarter Pounder with cheese.
Great.
How much did it cost in 1972? 30 cents, 50 cents, or 70 cents?
70 cents.
You can kind of gauge your answer from the prices from the past ones that we've been talking about, which is
Yeah.
good. That would be correct. Walt got it correct. Walt's on a roll.
I'm rolling.
You on a roll. The vanilla milkshake at McDonald's in 1972. What do you think it cost? 35 cents, 48 cents, or 56 cents?
56 cents.
56 cents. Up, first one you got wrong. The vanilla milkshake at McDonald's in 1972 was 35 cents.
Oh, wow.
A bargain.
It's a bargain.
And I hope everyone's playing at home along as playing at home. So you play along at home as we play. A cup of coffee at McDonald's. Now, I thought coffee came in later at McDonald's. I didn't know that they always had coffee at McDonald's. I thought that was a later thing.
I actually had their coffee this morning.
And you know what? Their coffee is really good.
It is.
I mean, you can say what you want about McDonald's, but the McCafe coffee is good. How much did a cup of coffee cost at McDonald's in 1972, 50 years ago? 5 cents, 10 cents, or 15 cents?
10 cents.
10 cents. Oh, you had to pay 15 cents for a cup of coffee back then.
Highway robbery.
See, these are the more lesser-known things that I would know the price of anyway, so it's okay to get those wrong. How about just their regular old single cheeseburger at McDonald's? Would you pay 27 cents, 33 cents, or 42 cents?
I'm going 27 cents.
27 cents. Oh, you're wrong. It was 33 cents. And you know what? For years, I remember that being the price for a Crystal was 33 cents back in the late 70s.
Okay.
For a while, I remember kind of like being a Crystal.
Man, I'm getting killed lately here.
That's okay. There's no punishment or anything. This won't go on your test scores or anything if you get it wrong.
Okay, good. Not on my permanent record.
McDonald's filet of fish. You know they have a fish sandwich.
Oh, yes. I've had that.
How about the filet of fish? How much would it have cost 50 years ago? 48 cents, 66 cents, or 82 cents?
66 cents.
66 cents. And that's wrong too. It was 48 cents.
Yeah,
Do you know? You ever heard the history about the filet of fish? I think this is what I read, if I remember right. They're trying to come up with a new sandwich at McDonald's, and they were testing 2 of them, and they came out with a filet of fish and I think it was Hawaiian burger, which means the Hawaiian burger had a sliced pineapple.
Right. Uh-huh.
Guess which one obviously won the poll? Because you can't get the Hawaiian burger anymore, but you can get the filet of fish still.
Now, you can take your own pineapple and put it on one of their burgers.
You can if you want to, but
nobody would want to.
I don't know if I'd want to do that. I'm the kind of guy that really I don't mix my meats much either. A lot of people like bacon hamburgers, bacon on the hamburger. I'm like, I don't know, I don't like mixing 2 meats together. I like bacon and I like a hamburger. I don't necessarily like it on a hamburger, but that's okay.
You can put bacon on just about anything.
You could. But what I do is if I get one, I'll take the bacon off and eat the hamburger, and then just wait a minute and I'll eat the bacon separately. That's the way I do pickles.
I don't like
I'll
pickles.
take a pickle off and eat it by itself. How about the very hot that we mentioned that will totally burn your mouth to cinders, the McDonald's apple pie? McDonald's apple pie in 1972 cost either 26 cents, 36 cents, or 46 cents. What would you give for it 50 years ago?
I'm going with 26 cents.
26 cents. A penny more than a quarter?
Yes.
You're right. You're exactly right.
I actually remember paying 26 cents for that.
How about an ice cream cone 50 years ago at McDonald's? Would you have given 12 cents, 20 cents, or 29 cents for an ice cream cone?
20 cents.
20 cents. He says 20, and he's right. You're back on track again. Number 10. I think number 10 is the last one. A large soft drink at McDonald's. We know how much they are now at most of them anyway. I think they're $1 no matter what you get. Right. You know, it's $1 for their drinks or whatever. But in 1972, what would you have paid for it? 20 cents, 35 cents, or 41 cents? That's a large one now, by the way.
35 cents.
35 cents. How is Walt going to end up the quiz? He ends it with, it's a wrong. You would actually give 20 cents for the drink.
Oh, wow.
So look how much, even at $1 now, it's a good price for it,
yeah.
But it's still a lot more than 20 cents. All right, they're tallying up your score here at MeTV. Walt's score, you got 5 out of 10. You got half of them right.
I got an F, but
it says bummer. Perhaps you didn't eat at McDonald's as a kid. Well, that's untrue for both of us. We certainly did.
We did.
But that's okay. But we bet you're craving a
paying
burger now,
for
aren't
it.
you?
That's the thing. I was not paying for it.
No, and that's the reason that we didn't get them all right. I think I
if
missed
you'd
3 or
asked
4
like
of them.
the 80s, you know.
Hey, we would remember a lot more if we were younger, if we'd paid for a lot more stuff.
Right. Yes. The stuff that I was paying for, like when I was in college, I would probably remember.
No, I did start paying for things when I started doing yard work, and I used to do yard work and walk around my entire city because I could get around to a lot of places on foot, you know, sidewalks and stuff. When I could, Mom just wasn't scared for me walking around back then. It wasn't even worried about it.
Oh, we used to ride our bikes to the arcade.
Yeah, by yourself.
Yeah, by ourselves.
No one around.
About 3
I would collect returnable bottles and fill my thing up
with
with them that I had with my bike. Take them, cash them in for a nickel, and get up quite the stash because there are some things that I needed when I was a kid that was very important. Number one, a comic book. You know, there was always a comic book out that I wanted to get.
Yeah.
And they were, you know, like depending on when I started, they were 30 cents, 35 cents a piece.
Mm-hmm.
I also needed my pack of space dust. Pop Rocks.
Oh, yes, Pop Rocks.
Depending on where you were living.
Yep.
I have to clarify that because people go, you did space dust as a kid? I'm like, it's a candy.
Yeah, not that space dust. Well, how about
Crackling
models?
stuff.
You had to get your
model kits. I would buy the occasional model, but I would get frustrated because I was terrible at putting models together. I really was.
For some reason, I could do cars. I could not do planes.
Terribly impatient. I always got the snap tight ones that didn't require glue.
Okay.
So they just have the snap together tough stuff. And then remember the water decals? They were so frustrating.
They're awful.
Okay, you got to put a little bit of water on them and slide them off of the paper onto the model.
I would rather paint the car than do the.
And if you do it right, they won't have any creases. They won't be sideways. Oh, who did it right? I didn't.
Or I'd just stick them on wherever I felt like sticking them. I would never do it like
Why is that American symbol on the cockpit window of that airplane, Walt? He can't see out.
Because I got so mad at having to do all that water.
Walt doesn't want the pilot to forget what country he's working for. That's why.
America.
You could do a whole show on model kits, Monogram, AMT. I mean, later on I got a little better at it because I'd buy stuff like the Enterprise from Star Trek, which came with lights in it.
Yes.
For the saucer section.
Yep.
I did a pretty good space shuttle one on the launch pad one time, which was really nice. And then I got way up into I did a Millennium Falcon once.
Really?
Which looked a whole lot better than the Kenner toy because the perspective was right.
Sure.
Hey, thanks for filling in for Alan today. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
Everybody out there, thanks for listening. It's BK on the Air. We'll see you on the podcast and next week live.
May tomorrow be a perfect day. May you find love and laughter along the way. May God keep you in his tender care till he brings us together again. Good night, everybody.